Hello and welcome to the fourth session of our Heart of Darkness Star Wars Edge of the Empire game. Last session, episode 3, saw our heroes Crood Bosmore and Yaatu Deng bring their ship the Night Dragon to land on the desolate frozen moon of Ookbat 7, searching for an escape pod that had landed there. They'd been able to fend off the Huttese fighters that had shot down the fighter craft that had disgorged the escape pod. After landing and disembarking, they discovered that the pilot had already been dragged from the wreckage by a few strange droids, one of them calling himself Vinny the Fish, who had a strange sort of faux gangster accent and appeared to be interrogating the pilot about a base. Realising that these droids seemed intent on beating up this pilot effectively, who blatantly knew nothing about their base, Yaatu and Crood intervened, taking out the droids, disabling Vinny the Fish, planning to take him back to their ship. However, the noise of this combat had attracted one of the giant ice worms of Ookbat 7, and whilst they were returning to the Night Dragon, they were set upon by the same Huttese fighters, now dipping down into the atmosphere of the planet. Whilst Yaatu was firing his blaster fairly futilely at the hovering fighter craft, Crood snuck back on board, managed to wake up the rebel pilot, who managed to help get the Night Dragon up into the air. A chase scene ensued between the various ships, culminating with this giant ice worm bursting from the ground and consuming the last of the remaining Huttese fighters, the one that Crood hadn't managed to pick off with his guns. Crood eventually returned and picked up Yaatu. They were preparing to leave when the self-same worm burst out of the ice again and grabbed hold of the bottom of their ship. After a few tense moments, they were able to use the laser turrets and Crood gunning the engine to allow them to escape. On board, they talked more with the pilot, named Briamar Cartwill, who attempted to persuade Crood that they should sign on with the Alliance to restore the Republic. Although Crood deflected the offer, they agreed to take the pilot to Ookbat I, where she promised that her people, in return for her rescue, would help repair the slightly damaged Night Dragon. So that is where we're going to pick up this session, with the Night Dragon approaching Ookbat I. So I'm going to ask our players to introduce their characters. So if we can have Crood first.
Yep, so my name is Jason. I'm playing Crood Bosmore, who is a Rodian, of course, from the planet Rhodia. He has always been a mischievous character, and that unfortunately led him to leave the planet. His family told him, don't come back until you've got a real job and blah, blah, blah. But his real passions lie in breaking the rules, the open spaces, speeding along in very fast vehicles, preferably. So since then, he's managed to acquire a ship. He's now with his companion Yaatu, who's been dabbling with black market guns, and while this does scare him a little bit, he's also enjoying himself.
Okay, thank you very much. And speaking of Yaatu, if you can please introduce yourself.
Right, so Yaatu is a wannabe gangster and ne'er-do-well, currently trying to get into the arms trade, I guess, with Crood. Yaatu is fairly shallow and entirely focused on trying to give off the appearance of an important underworld person. He is a very ambitious young Maryland rogue, currently hooking up with the Alliance, and we'll see how that goes.
Okay, thank you very much. So, before we actually start with you heading down to Ookbat 1, we're first going to cut to a slightly earlier scene. So obviously it will have taken you some time travelling through hyperspace to get to Ookbat 1. Now, I've brought up the Roll20 view on the screen, the map of your vessel. Currently, we have Yaatu Deng stationed in the gun port, effectively. and we have Crood and Briamar in the cockpit. Tomax is in the quarters, and I've currently stationed Vinny the fish, who is deactivated, in one of the holds. So, guys, first of all, are you happy with where I've put Vinny the fish? As I say, he's deactivated, but I've stuck him in compartment 16, which is like one of the cargo holes on the ship.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, excellent. Now, during the course of your flight, obviously, normally Crood is in the cockpit flying the actual ship. However, presumably you don't stay in the cockpit 24/7, Crood.
Oh, God, no. If it's in hyperspace, then yeah, I just leave it for a bit until I know that we're vaguely about to arrive in a system.
Okay, so would you guys take it in shifts, or would you just stick it on autopilot? How do you envision that playing out, Crood?
I'd probably stick it in autopilot. Maybe if I know that there's some obstacles on the way through astrogation, then we'd probably take it in shifts. So it would depend how smooth this one would go.
Okay, well, the route to the Ookbat system is fairly smooth. So if you could, I'd like you to move yourself on the map to where you would normally be resting when you're not in the cockpit. You should be able to see that Area 14 is sort of like the crew quarters.
Okay, yeah, I'll probably be in there.
Okay, so if you want to move yourself there, lovely. Okay, so when Crood wasn't on watch in the cockpit, Yaatu, whereabouts would you normally be located? I've put you in the gun turret at the moment, just because that's where you were last session.
I'd probably be in the cargo hold fiddling with Vinny the fish.
Okay, well, you should be able to see Vinny. He's the one covered in red, so stick yourself next to him. Okay, that's grand. And since you're relaxing in your quarters, Crood, what about Briamar Cartwill, the Rebel Alliance pilot that you've rescued? Now, she's been spending a lot of time sort of helping you in the cockpit. Would you guys have prepared quarters for her? What would be going on with her?
She got hurt, right? Last time.
Yeah.
She did have some superficial injuries, yeah.
Okay.
What I'd probably do then is insist that she goes and rests for a bit while I stay in the cockpit, and then when I think it's safe to leave it, just an autopilot, I'd do the same. So she'd be in the quarters as well.
Okay, no problems. So I'll move Briamar to the quarters. There we go. Okay, so the scene we're going to do now takes place. You've been sleeping in your bunk. There's 3 bunks in the crew quarters, Crood. You've been sleeping in your bunk when you're awoke in the middle of the night. Obviously, you have to check your timepiece to know what time it is, because hyperspace looks the same no matter what time of day it is. But you're awoken by like this slight scratching sound at the sort of like little compartment door that leads into your bunk.
Oh, what's that? I sort of turn over. I lie on my stomach and sort of look towards the door.
Okay, you look towards the door, and after a few moments, this scrabbling, you hear this, and then you hear the sound of something softly padding away from the door. Okay,
I'm gonna slowly get out of bed, probably get one of my little blasters just in case it's one of those creepy ass bugs, and I'm gonna sort of half stagger to the door, really half asleep.
Okay, you pull the door open and peer out, bleary-eyed. And as you peer out, there's a sort of dim light in the sort of common area between the bunks. You can see what appears to be the slightly mangled and obviously dead form of a giant beetle lying on the floor. And I mean, when we say giant, I'm talking about the size of an average person's forearm.
Wow. Yeah, I immediately grab my pistol with both hands, and I'm like, ah! And I'm pointing it directly at it.
You point your pistol at this bug, it doesn't appear to be moving at all, and now you're sort of blinking your eyes and they're clearing a little bit. You can see that there are sort of several large bite marks on this beetle, like it's been a bit badly mangled and then apparently just dropped outside the door.
Okay. Are there communication units in the bunker?
There are indeed.
Okay, in which case I rush back into there. Before waking up our lady friend, I'm going to get on the comms, and I'm going to basically say, good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever the f*** it is. This is your captain speaking. There is an absolutely giant beetle outside my bunk. Please come and help.
So we're currently in the night cycle, I guess.
Indeed.
Right.
You're currently travelling through hyperspace, and as you say, because there's not a strict sort of day or night dichotomy in hyperspace, you've pretty much got an arbitrary day and night cycle.
Yeah, our crew compartment only has 3 beds, right?
Indeed, that's another reason why you have to like rotate the crew.
So I think I'm probably sleeping in the cargo hold, really.
Okay, and since you said you've been tinkering around with Vinny the fish, what have you been trying to accomplish there?
Basically, my long-term plan is to fire him up again, but before I do that, I want to very delicately, so as not to wreck anything, disable his like mobile functions.
Okay, yeah, you've had plenty of time, so I'm not going to say you have to make a roll to do that. So you've disabled all of his motor functions. The only thing you'll be able to do is effectively turn his head. That'll be about it. You won't be able to move his body or his neck really at all. So you can deactivate him at any point you wish, really.
Yeah. So I guess like having done that, I've gone to sleep, just laying on some of the weapons crates that we have there.
Yeah, you've pulled a couple of you've scavenged up like an old blanket. You've pushed a couple of the weapons crates together, and you're lying on that. It's been a bit uncomfortable, and you sort of tossed and turned a little bit, but you're just starting to get off to sleep when you hear the like bung bung of the ship onboard comms, and you hear Crood's slightly panicked voice talking about this giant beetle and requesting assistance.
Yeah, so I fall off the crates and just scramble about trying to figure out what's going on, and then I realize it's Crood on the PA. And I go to, I presume there's like a phone on the wall in the compartment that I'm in.
Yeah, there's like a comms console.
Yeah, so I scramble my way there from the pile of weapons that I find myself in on the floor. And so I scramble my way there and hang on to the console and just press the like send button. I'm like, Crood, what?
There's a giant beetle in here. It's not moving or anything, so I'm not in any danger, but this scared the out of me. I need you to come and help me shift it to somewhere.
What do you mean when you say giant beetle?
Like, as big as my forearm.
And I look like very skeptical at this.
It is.
I press the send button again. Go. All right, Crood. I'll see what I can do.
As this is going on, you see Tomax's face flash up on the shipboard comms. His hair's all sort of mussed up and he's a bit bleary-eyed and he's like, "What's all this about a beetle?"
Outside. Don't go out there.
Oh, right you are. I'll just get back to it. And you hear
Yeah, you do that.
a female voice, slightly muffled, so that you can't really tell what it's saying. And you hear him say in the background, "Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing to worry about." Right, I'll see you all in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what I do is I grab one of the crates, the lids of the crates that I was sleeping on that are now spilled on the floor, and I head to where Crood is.
Okay, no problems. Move yourself across to area 14 on the Roll20 map. As you enter into the sort of common area of the crew quarters, you can see like these three small booths that pretty much just have like a bed in them. There's a couple of there's like a small latrine to your right as you walk in, and a small storage cupboard to your left. As you walk in, you can see Crood sort of peering out through this door on his bunk, and lying sort of half mangled at the foot of the door to his bunk room is this quite large, sort of bluey black beetle. You recognise it as one of the Lakari beetles, although it's much bigger than any you've seen before.
It was gnawing at the door.
What did you do to it?
I didn't do anything. It was like this when I opened the door.
Well, how does that make any sense?
I don't know. None of this makes any sense. Why is it much bigger than it used to be? I'm assuming this is one of the Lakari beetles.
There's probably a secret stash of kelp somewhere on board, and they've gotten to it.
Are you suggesting that kelp makes them grow to like 3 times, 4 times their size?
I'm not a beetleologist. I don't know.
I look at him snidely and say, well, you could have fooled me because you look like one.
Thanks. And I set about like carefully like prodding the mangled beetle with the lid that I have.
Okay, you prod it and it gives no sign of any reaction. You think it's dead, but as you're doing that, can you please make me a perception roll, difficulty 2?
Yeah.
Yaatu? Okay, you poke around in it a bit. It seems like it's been dead for quite some time. You can see there's like the various fluids have sort of like congealed around where it's been lying on the floor. If it had skittered in and then sort of just died here, these fluids wouldn't have had time to like collect around it. So you think it's been dead for a while.
Oh boy. Because I see a toilet there, so there's probably some toiletries there.
Indeed.
I want to grab like an empty paper roll and try to use that to just get the beetle carcass on the lid so that I can take it out.
Yeah, no problems. You gingerly scoop it onto the lid.
Oh boy. Yes. Well, I'm gonna go look if there's any more of these around. Hopefully not.
Yeah, good. I'd rather get back to sleep, considering we're going to be arriving there soon and I'll need to be in the cockpit again.
Yep, that's good. I'll call you if there's a whole nest of them.
Sure, you do that. Hopefully not. I don't want my ship riddled with giant beetles.
Whilst you're saying this, the door to Tomax's bunk opens up a little bit, and he slides out, looking at the two of you. Grimaces a bit when he sees the beetle, walks across to the latrines, goes in and shuts the door behind him.
I'm going back to sleep.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the beetle carcass in. I presume there's some sort of like a trash section. Just throw it in there and do a sweep of the entire ship. So
you start looking around the ship. Can you please make me a perception roll, difficulty 3?
Rocking that perception.
Okay, you search around the rest of the ship. you don't really find any further signs of these beetles, but given that you know that the Night Dragon was previously a smuggler's vessel, and you've already found at least one sort of smuggler's hidey hole, it's possible there are more that you've yet to discover.
Yeah, and I make a note of that. I presume there's some sort of a log, so I'll put it there for Crood to find. And it's just the fact that I didn't find it in like any beetles in any obvious places, so he should have a look as well, and that we probably have more compartments that we haven't found yet.
Okay, as you're heading back to inform Crood of this, having not really found anything, you pass Tomax on the way. He's just like walking through one of the main corridors of the vessel, sort of like scratching his head. He yawns as he goes past you and he says, "Alright, do you find anything?"
No, they're probably in a hidden structure. And well, the one that Crood found apparently died on its own, so we can hope for the best, but who knows?
Tomax shrugs and he says, I'm just going for a bit of a walk, work off some of this excess energy, if you know what I mean. I'd appreciate it if you didn't disturb my lady friend in the bunk room for a while.
Okay. Don't know why you felt the need to specifically say that. It's not like I have any designs on her.
No, all I was saying is she gets a bit moody if she doesn't get a beauty sleep, so I thought I'd give her a bit of peace and quiet, let her rest for a bit, go for a bit of a walk. To be honest, I've never really slept well in hyperspace.
It's an acquired skill of a sort. Well, do you fancy a game of Bazak now that we're up?
I'll take a rain check. I'm not really a great one for that sort of thing. I'm just gonna have a bit of a walk and then I'll probably head back to the bunk room. But I'll see you in the next day cycle.
Okay. Well, have a good one then. If you do happen upon beetles, do use the PA.
Don't worry, if I come across any of those giant beetles, you guys will be the first to know about it.
Okay. I'll be in the cargo hold.
Okay, no problems. Take care. And he walks off down the corridor.
Yeah. And I guess I'll go there and fire up Vinny the fish.
Okay, no problems. You head back to the cargo hold where the deactivated form of Vinny the fish is waiting.
Yep. And there's probably some sort of a battery that I've hooked up.
Mm-hmm.
And I just put the connectors in and flip the switch.
As you flip the switch and plug the connectors in, there's like a as he powers up. His eyes light up and you see his head like swivel around a little bit. He tries to move, but obviously you've deactivated his motor functions. And then he's like, what's going on? Someone slipped me a Mickey.
You do realize that you're a droid, right?
Of course I realize I'm a droid. What, did I take a stupid pill?
So anyway, hello, I'm Yaatu. I already know who you are.
Yeah, everyone knows me. I'm Vinny the fish.
Now, the question being, Vinny, is what were you doing on that planet?
Well, I'm afraid that's on a need-to-know basis, see, and you don't need to know.
Well, that's actually true. That I don't need to know that, but I'd like to.
Anyway, what did you do to Knuckles and Brick?
I have no idea what you're saying.
I said, what did you do to Knuckles and Brick, my 2 associates?
And realization dawns on me. Knuckles and Brick. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, they're sleeping with the fishes. Is that the expression?
Oh, I see. You're going to put some moves on us, are you? Who are you working for? The Huts? The Empire?
I'm sort of a freelancer.
Well, you best hope you got someone backing you if you're going to take on the robot mafia.
The what?
What, you got rocks in your ears?
Okay, Vinny. How about you tell me what you were doing on the planets before I scrap your memory cores?
Okay, can you please give me a negotiation roll? It's difficulty 2, and you have a boost dice because you've already proven that you can deactivate most of him.
Okay, so difficulty 2 and a boost die.
Yep.
Ew.
Finally.
It's still a success, so it's all good. Okay, so what are you asking? You just say, basically, tell us about the mafia, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so what I want is for him to tell me what he was doing on the planet. Like, why is he even here?
He's like, look, I was sent to the planet, see, to scout it out for a base. We thought, wow, seeing as it's not hospitable to you breathing types, it might be good for us, see? We could get on with our business without being interrupted. Then all of a sudden we got escape pods landing, ships coming down. We thought we were under attack. We thought it was a Huts or something.
So this is a base for the robot mafia. You're saying that it's a mafia base.
Well, it's not a base yet, but it could have been.
And it was just you and what's their face? Knuckles?
Knuckles and Brick.
Yeah. Just the 3 of you then.
Yeah, we were like the advance party, see? Gonna see if it was suitable.
And you beat on the pilots because you thought that they were attacking you?
Yeah, no one ever comes to the planet. We thought someone was making a move on us, see?
That's implying that you were there for a while.
Hey, assessing planets is a complex business. You can't do it just quick as you like. We've been there for a while.
Just what exactly are you assessing on a planet to determine if it's suitable for a mafia place?
Well, originally we were just looking for somewhere where other people weren't, but wow, we found out the Huts had already got some interest on the planet, see? So when there was the combat, we saw the explosions up in orbit, we thought maybe the Huts had rumbled us and they were trying to push us off.
Right. Okay then, let's say I believe you, Vinny. Can we help you in any way? Or no?
And what'd be in it for you if you could?
Well, aside from your undying loyalty, of course.
The Godfather's the only person who's got my undying loyalty, see?
Well, we could negotiate down to a rather hefty sum of credits, I'm sure.
Well, I'd need to speak to the Godfather myself about that. Maybe if you reactivate me, I could arrange a meeting or something. Not that he's keen on you breathing types.
I have a fairly good hand with the droids myself, so I'm sure that me and my crew could turn a trick or two, help you with something.
Yeah, well, maybe if you reactivate me, maybe I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, we'll see about that tomorrow. And then I switch him off.
Hey, wait a minute, what do you... Oh. And he turns off.
Yep. I pull out some sort of a diary pad and write down Wow. Actual representative of the droid mafia on board. Possible collaboration, question mark. And then like sigh contentedly and I suppose lay back down on the weapons pile for a nap.
Okay, it started getting round to the day cycle. Crood, you start waking up, ready to go and take your turn in the cockpit. As you're waking up and sort of getting out of your bunk, can you please make me a perception roll, difficulty 2?
Sure.
Wow.
I'm still sleepy.
Okay, so you sort of sleepily get out of bed. At the same time, you can see that the rebel pilot, Briamar Cartwill, is getting out of bed as well on the opposite side, the bunk that's facing yours. As she gets out, she sort of wrinkles her nose up and she's like, "Oh, what's that horrible smell?"
I immediately sort of lift up my arm and start sniffing under my armpit and going, I don't know, I've just woken up, it could be me. Why?
It doesn't appear to be you, but now that she's mentioned it, you can smell like a horrible sort of almost like ripe or rotting fruit smell. It's quite faint but very distinctive.
Oh yeah. Where is that coming from?
You poke around a little bit in the sort of open area, and it appears to be coming from the bed at the very end of the chamber, the one that was occupied by Tomax previously.
Oh, for God's sake. I march over and like immediately pull back the door, whether they're decent or not. And I'm like, whatever that smell is, can you get it out of here?
Okay, you pull back the door and you start saying that. However, the phrase dies on your lips when, as you fling the door open, you're confronted by the dead body of Tomax Covell, lying on its back on the bunk.
How fresh is this? I'm assuming this is from a few hours ago, or?
Looking at the body and the state of decay, I mean, do you have any medical knowledge or medical skill?
Very little.
Well, you're not really able to narrow down the time of death much, but given the sort of smell coming off it and how much the body's decayed, he must have died a fair time ago, like at least a day or two.
Oh.
But you saw him moving around about 6 hours ago.
Well, yeah, exactly. What the fuck? What did this? And then I start looking around for his lady.
Okay, you look around, you don't see any signs of anyone else in the bunk room.
Okay, I'm going to go and rush down the corridor and check the escape pods, see if they're all still there.
Okay, not a problem. You rush to the escape pods, and you do find that one of them is missing.
Okay, great. Alright, in that case, I'm going to head to the cockpit after getting some kind of drink and just sort of getting my bearings in general, seeing like if there are any systems nearby where she would have plonked herself onto.
Okay, Briamar accompanies you to the cockpit. Are you going to like run a scan of the ship, or?
Actually, yes, I will first.
Can you make me a computer's roll difficulty 2? Okay, you run a scan of the ship. Like I say, Briamar helps you with it. You are picking up some sort of non-localized life signs on board the ship besides yourself. However, none of them are registering as a human life sign. There's what appears to be a small animal slinking around the cargo hold, Area 7 on the map. You're not picking up any signs of humanoids beside yourself, Briamar, and Yaatu, though.
Alright, in that case I get on the comms and say, good morning, Yaatu. We have more problems. Tomax is dead and go and check something out that's leaking around the cargo hold.
Okay, so I come to cradling a bunch of blaster rifles on the floor, and yeah, blink hard a couple of times. Wince because I've been sleeping on the floor. Stretch myself out as I get back to the comms panel.
I then add something and say, you'll be pleased to know as well that because of Tomax's death, you'll get a bunk.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Rhodian way of coping with it, but I've just found Tomax dead, and it looks like he's been dead for some time, but I'm sure I saw him in the middle of the night, just wandering around.
As Crood says this, Yaatu, you hear in the background of the transmission the rebel pilot Briamar say, surely he's not going to sleep in that bunk after that. Ugh.
Oh yeah, good point. I think we've got some spare sheets.
Wait, back up. Back up with the sheets. What? How?
I don't know, but his lady friends escaped an escape pod, just trying to do a scan of the ship and get a gist of where the hell she's gone.
Why is she gone? Why is she... Did she kill him?
Well, I certainly didn't kill him. I can't think of any other conclusion. Unless it was you sleepwalking.
Not likely. I've been spending some time with Vinny here.
Oh, right, okay. Didn't realise you were into that kind of thing. But anyway, would you mind checking out that cargo hold when you've come round?
Okay. I guess so. Did you guys already do something to Tomax's body?
I'm not good with bodies and medicine and stuff, so I didn't. I wanted to find out where this bitch had gone first.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I guess we can just seal the compartment and... Wait, no, yeah, no, I need to get rid of the body.
We need to get rid of it. Maybe flush it out into space.
As you're having this conversation, Crood, obviously you're keeping an eye on the scanners as well. You're registering that the small sort of animal life form that you're picking up is moving out of Area 7 into Area 13, the corridor that leads to the bunk rooms.
Yaatu, this thing is moving. It's going to the bunk corridors, Area 13.
I'm grabbing one of the rifles that I used back on fighting the ice worms and the weak way.
Indeed, the fabled ice worm of Ookbat 7.
Yes, the legendary ice worm, some would say.
Indeed. Yeah, you grab your rifle.
I grabbed the rifle and I very carefully head into the corridors of our ship.
Okay, not a problem. You head through into Area 15 on the map, through the double doors, and start slowly making your way into the corridors. Okay, so you've headed through Area 15, which is the engineering bay, and you're slowly making your way forward. As you do, you start hearing like a dun 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 of something moving around in the ventilation shaft above you. You know that sort of just round the corner in this passageway, there's like a ceiling hatch.
Okay, so I want to yank that down.
Okay, you move to the ceiling hatch, you open it up, and you can see into the sort of like the ventilation shafts that run through the ship. And as you open it up, you can now more clearly hear the sound of something moving around in this twisted maze of wires and pipes that run through the ventilation shaft.
I yell into the shaft like, "Come on, out with you!"
You shout into the shaft. There's a few moments of silence. Then you hear a meow.
Can I fit inside the shaft?
You could do it. It'd be a little bit of a squeeze, and you wouldn't be able to move very quickly. You'd have to sort of like crawl on your hands and knees through it.
Okay, well, for the time being, I just want to like jump up and just look in there, just like hang out from the hatch and look in the shaft.
Okay, no problems. You look into the shaft, and in the sort of the fairly dim lighting that's filtering up through the open ceiling hatch, you can just about make out a very small shape moving around, so probably about 10 feet in front of where you're sort of crouched.
I'm not smelling like massive amounts of blood and innards, right?
No, there's an odd sort of musty smell, rather like a sort of a damp animal or sort of like wet fur, but you're not smelling any great amount of like blood or anything like that.
I'm gonna switch my blaster to stun settings and fire it once towards the thing in the shaft, or where I think the thing is.
Okay, you fire your blaster on its stun setting. There's a poof as you fire it, and this bright blue briefly illuminates the area. As it does, you see what appears to be a small feline-like creature holding a beetle in its mouth, crouched in the ventilation shaft. It's obviously startled by your shot, and with a great deal of noise scrambles further into the ventilation shaft.
And I'm aware that Crood has a pet, right?
Indeed.
Yeah, I've just seen you looking at it.
Yeah. I drop back down from the shaft and go to the nearest comm panel. And Crood, I think it's your cat or cat thing. Feline. Fur. Annoying, you know the thing.
Oh, Kyber! Oh, right, okay. Well, hold on. I'll get him out.
It's eating one of the beetles, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just have a look. And I reach into a cupboard near the cockpit, and I get out these little treats, and I just shake the bag.
Okay, not a problem. You shake this bag of treats, you wait a few minutes, and it's probably about 10 minutes later you hear this like dun, 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 dun. So in the ventilation shafts that run into the cockpit, and a few moments later your lolcat Kyber drops down from one of the ceiling apertures.
Hey, come on have some treats, Kyber, come on. Who's a good boy? So I keep shaking them until he comes over to me, and...
Indeed, Kyber walks over to you, and you see that Kyber's carrying one of these beetles in its mouth. It drops the beetle down in front of you and immediately begins to devour some of these treats.
Oh, did you catch a beetle? Yeah, lovely. And I sort of pick it up and then very much regret doing so because it's got a bit gooey and slobbery.
Indeed, it's been quite badly mangled by Kyber, and you can see that it's quite dead. However, your cat, sort of quite proud of itself, nudges this beetle towards you before going back to eating its treats.
Now, don't you go up into that hatch anymore, okay?
Meow.
I'm assuming that I'll have made like a little bed for him somewhere.
That's absolutely fine.
So I just kind of dump a couple more treats into the bed and just hope he stays there for a bit.
Indeed. Now, as you're doing this, obviously you're fussing Kyber and you're putting the treats in the bed, etc. It might be your imagination, but you could swear Kyber's like a little bit bigger than the last time you saw him.
You've grown a bit.
Meow.
Okay, this isn't good. No more beetles for you.
Kyber looks at you for a few moments, then begins cleaning himself.
Alright, so I glance what's her name?
Briamar.
The pilot. Briamar. And I then go on the comms again to Yaatu and say, I think if something's eating the beetles, which Kyber just did, and maybe this other beetle did, it's actually making things bigger.
Yep, I'm going to look at the cargo hold. There's probably something there that they're eating.
Yeah, we need to do... Well, the problem is the scan didn't pick up any of the beetles going around. Have you checked the locker?
I'm at cargo hold now, so I'll let you know in a bit.
Okay, cool. I turn the comm off and I then just do a general sort of scan at the systems that are nearby and so on.
Okay, yeah, you're still on course for Ookbat I. Obviously, you're travelling sort of inter-system, so it's not taking you particularly long, just like a day or two. Everything seems fine on the scanners, nothing unusual.
Okay. Briamar, just hang on to the ship for a moment. I'm going to see if I can get rid of this body.
Okay, no problems. I'll call you on the comm system if there's any problems.
Okay.
Okay, so Yaatu, you've headed into one of the cargo holds, Area 7 on the map. What are you doing when you get in there?
Okay, my suspicion is that there's a secret compartment here, so I set about, well, moving things around, looking for it, and with the idea that apparently a lot of the like living creatures on our ship have gotten there, so maybe there is like a breadcrumb trail, so to speak.
Okay, you search for about 10-15 minutes, and eventually you do find a concealed compartment. It's hidden. You can lift up part of the floor, and underneath it are several feet of space where an enterprising smuggler could secrete a few small items. There appear to be a number of foil sachets in there. They all have this emblem of this letter D on them. You can see that a number of them appear to have been chewed open, and there's what looks to be a few small flecks of algae paste clinging around the torn open packs.
Are there any unopened packs?
There are 2 unopened packs.
Okay. I pocket those into one of the many pockets on my vest, and I'm gonna do a sweep of the place and the next cargo space as well, with the idea. Well, actually, let's see. So rooms 8, 7, I guess 9, 10, and 11 as well. I want to look through all of these and see if there are any dead beetles there, because I'm working on a hypothesis that this thing actually grows you and then kills you.
Okay, you search around the adjoining compartments to the one you're in, and you do find a few of these large dead beetles, a couple of them scattered between the various compartments. All of them look to have teeth marks in them.
Okay, well that clears that up then. Yeah, so I'm back at room 7, and I'm at the engineering station, calling... well, I guess somewhere at this point, Crood will be getting rid of the body, so let's do that.
Indeed. Okay, Crood. So, if you were to move yourself over to where the body is located, in Area 14, what are you planning on doing with it?
I was going to open up one of the hatches, probably actually where the empty escape pod hatches, and just flush it out through there.
Okay, not a problem. So you head over, pick up the body, and head across to one of the airlocks. And you head across to one of the airlocks and you flush the body out into space.
That was a bit of funny feeling to wake up to. But, and I sort of give a little salute and say, safe journey.
You watch through the small, view window on the airlock doors, the double airlock doors, as this body slowly, drifts off into space.
Kind of mesmerizing. Anyway, I feel irrational too. I'm going to go and raid the equivalent of what we have on board of the coolants or something like that for some food.
Yep, no problem. You start getting your grub on. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so Yaatu, what are you up to?
Right, so I'm going to call Crood on the PA and say, okay, Crood, I found a lot of, well, not a lot of, but more than I like, beetles here, and I think your cat killed them. So we are good on the beetles, I guess, unless there's more. But yeah, I think they're all dead. And I think I found the thing that makes them grow, I guess. There's a bunch of algae bars, like the one that we found before we went down on that frozen planet.
Can you make me a perception roll, please, Yaatu? Difficulty 2. Obviously not.
Apparently not, no.
Okay, you're sort of checking around the room after while you're having your conversation with Crood, when suddenly you feel something drop onto your shoulder.
And this is during the conversation, so Crood probably hears "ah!" Unless Crood actually went out and got some food, which I think might have happened.
Yaatu, what's happened?
Yeah, so John, what's on me?
Okay, you put your hand up to your shoulder and you can feel a small damp patch as though some liquid has dripped onto your shoulder.
Is it clear liquid like drool?
It does appear to be clear liquid, but it's got a sort of slightly odd, almost chemically sort of smell to it.
Okay, so I slowly turn around and look up, pointing my blaster, still on stun sitting, up at the ceiling.
Okay, you look up at the ceiling and you can see sort of adhered to the ceiling are what appeared to be 3 light blue spheres that look as though they've been broken open. There's a clear viscous liquid dripping from the inside of them, and one of these drops of liquid has landed on your shoulder.
Crood, I think I found their eggs.
Is there a way to get rid of them?
Yeah, I think they're done. They're old eggs.
Okay, good, because I do not want this ship to be a breeding ground. We need to scrape them out and just dump them.
Okay.
Hey, if you want, we can hire a pest control when we get to this next planet. If there is such a thing on Ookbat.
Yeah. Can you ask our friend if they have such a thing?
Can do.
Because we need to have that thing ready before we land. Because can't really let these things go.
Yeah, that's true. Well, if you say they're dead, just scrape them out. That's probably fine.
I thought that this kind of wouldn't happen in space, but...
Well, I didn't either. It's a ship, not a farm.
This is exactly the kind of that I wanted to get away from when we left. Well, I guess there was more improvisation involved in our leaving, but...
Hey, less whining. I'll come and help if you want.
As you're saying, there's a zzz, and the lights on the ship go out and the consoles switch off.
Oh, now what? And I start marching back to the cockpit.
So, Crood, you march around into the hold where Yaatu is stationed. As you get there, you can see you sort of tapping at the console that appears to have like no power running to it. There's a flicker as the sort of dull red of the emergency lighting system comes on. However, it's a dull, eerie glow that's cast by this image.
What the hell has happened? I'm going to check the consoles as well, just in case.
Okay, you tap at some of the consoles. They don't appear to have any power to them.
Briamar, did you see what happened?
Are you using like a personal comm device or something to contact her?
Yeah, we'll do.
Okay, not a problem. You use your personal comms device and you hear Briamar saying, I'm not sure, I was just continuing running the scans that you started off, and suddenly the power got cut to all of the controls. Although we still seem to have the engine and backup power.
Yeah.
It must be a problem with the main circuit.
Maybe. But I'm gonna look out of the front window anyway to see if I can see anything, because what I'm worried about is maybe something Imperial trying to draw us in.
Okay, that's fine if you want to move yourself over to the cockpit, since that's obviously the front view screen. As you peer out of it, you can't see any sign of an enemy ship or anything along those lines. Obviously, with your sort of scanners down effectively, you're pretty much just going on your eyesight, but you can't see anything within visual range. Okay.
Am I right that the coordinates are still set, so it's not like we're going to just go trailing off to wherever in hyperspace?
That's correct. Your coordinates are still set.
Okay. Alright, in that case, I will check the main circuitry.
Okay, you check the main circuits of the ship, and as you look at them, you can see that a lot of the wires appear to have been chewed through.
Oh, why? I get on the comm and let people know. And I say, does anyone know if we have any spares of any kind of part?
Yes, we do. I'll get to it.
Because while we're in space, it's fine, but once we hit atmosphere, we are really not fine.
So, I guess I set about repairing the ship. Just barely scraping by.
Okay, after about half an hour, you've managed to restore power to the sensors and to the maneuvering thrusters. However, as you're sort of examining the wires and the various circuits, you realise that Crood appears to have made a small mistake. The wires haven't really been eaten through. It's almost as though they've been melted by some sort of caustic substance.
Does it look like sabotage, or could I be able to determine that?
It doesn't look so much like deliberate sabotage. The sort of pattern of the damage seems to be like fairly random.
Okay. Okay, Crood. Any ideas? I think if the sensors didn't pick up any additional beetles, then I think they're dead. And that's good. And still, I think someone or something ate these connectors, and apparently the electricity which powers this ship, which is considerable, let me tell you, does not bother it at all.
No. Well, I think it was that bitch earlier if it had stopped before, but it only just stopped now, so it's probably just another beetle eating its way in there. This is so annoying. Why does it have to be now or in space? Think you can fix it?
Yeah, I can fix it, but if there's beetles there, they'll just keep breaking it.
Yeah, I know.
So how about we confine ourselves to, let's say, the cockpit for 2 hours and reroute all oxygen out from every other compartment.
Oh, I like your thinking, but we need to make sure that Kyber doesn't go out anywhere either.
Yeah, well.
You can see Kyber appears to be sort of contentedly curled up in his small cat bed in the cockpit in the corner, cleaning himself still.
Okay, good. Yeah, kill the oxygen.
Okay, so you guys all cram into the cockpit and you start turning the oxygen off and flushing the atmosphere on the other sections of the ship. How long do you intend to wait for once you've done that?
A couple of hours.
Yeah, I think we probably set a timer for like 2 hours. Just because beetles are real hard to kill.
Very true. Okay, not a problem. You wait for 2 hours. There is no air in the rest of the ship besides the cockpit, and you've sort of sealed the door to the cockpit.
At the end of the 2 hours, I'd probably cycle some air back in, and yeah, I guess I would just go back to repairing the electricity, really. Because we need that before we do much else. Okay. Unless, of course, something happens in the 2 hours that we wait.
Okay, that's absolutely fine if you want to move yourself back to Area 7.
Nice.
Ew.
Okay, as you move back into the sort of maintenance access area that you were previously using, as you head back in there, you can see what appeared to be 4 of these large beetles. They're lying on the ground, obviously dead, not moving at all. And you can see they appear to be lying around the body of the woman that Tomax brought on board. She also appears to be very dead.
Yeah, so I rushed to her and just futilely sort of hold her. Okay. Not sure what to do.
As you turn her over, there's a ding ding as something drops out of her hand and falls to the deck plating. You can see it appears to be an Imperial data rod.
Okay, I grab it, stash it in my vest, and just sort of continue to hold her, staring at the floor.
Okay, you continue staring at the floor. However, as you're turning sort of her over and holding her, her skin starts to bubble and ripple in an odd way, as though it was sort of becoming semi-liquid as you're holding her.
Okay. So what probably happens is I let go. Shock very obvious on my face, and stumble backwards, hit the table, and then fall over the table into the couch in the corner.
You knock the hollow chessboard over as you fall back onto the couch. As you watch, her skin appears to ripple and distort, slowly settling down until instead of the beautiful, young, unfortunately dead woman who was lying on the decking, there's now a reptilian humanoid lying in the same place.
And I presume that it's dead.
It certainly seems that way.
I very slowly and carefully go over to the engineering station and no, wait, we don't have power still, right?
I'll say that, well, I'll tell you what, make me a mechanics roll, difficulty 2.
Okay.
If you succeed, I'll say you've also managed to restore comms as well as like the basics systems. Yeah, that's fine. In fact, I'm going to say, since you got a triumph as well, that you've killed most of the beetles, that you've effectively managed to like fully restore power to the ship.
Okay. Yeah, so I very gingerly go to the engineering station, press like the comms button, and go, Crood, there's something in compartment 7 that you really need to see, though I'm sure you don't want to.
It's not my mother, is it?
Just get here.
Okay. I grab my gun and give a wink at my co-pilot, and I go over there.
Okay, not a problem. You join Yaatu in the maintenance access compartment. As you head in, you can see this small circle of these large and dead beetles on the floor. They appear to be lying around the body of a strange, thin, lumpy and misshapen reptilian-looking humanoid, also dead, that's lying on the compartment floor.
What the hell happened here? Why are there so many weird things suddenly on the ship?
That thing was Erin Lokar just a minute ago.
No, it's not. She escaped in an escape pod. I saw it's missing.
Yeah, but she was there. Or not really, but that thing was Erin Lokar.
So
And
what
then
happened to her?
I presume we suffocated her along with the beetles, but it's not. She's a reptile.
Would I have this out of character, Johnson, so I know what this is, but would Crood have any knowledge of changelings?
Can you make a xenology roll, difficulty 3?
Ooh, probably not then. Hold on. Oh, apparently
Yes!
Okay, you don't know the specifics, but you have heard there are certain races that can change or alter their form to a lesser degree or another. You don't know any of the details, but you have heard of such things.
Oh, so she wasn't human. Yeah, I've heard of. I can't remember what they're called. There's some species that they can change their form, and I think that is like their actual form. I'm guessing, since now she's dead.
One thing does strike you as odd, though, Crood, is you know that Erin Lokar had a father back on Blimp.
Do you think these beetles killed her then?
No, I think we pulled out the oxygen, Crood. I think
you suddenly see him like drop the penny, and he's just like, "Oh,
why didn't your scan show? I don't understand.
I don't know." And even Briamar was running the scans as well. We didn't see anything else.
So these things look like different people and don't show up on scans either? Like what?
Well, they should do, because surely she can still breathe like an organic humanoid. You know, obviously we're a different species, but we show up on the scanner. She's a life form. She should show up.
As you're having this discussion, the door swishes open behind you, and Kyber comes strolling in and sort of starts to like knock around with It's poor one of these dead beetles.
Kyber, will you stop that? And I start sort of chasing him around, trying to grab him.
Kyber seems to think that this is a great game that you're both playing and starts running around the compartment, staying ahead of you.
Oh, Kyber, why are you so adorable? Stop it.
Meow.
Okay, I try and scoop him up and just take him back to the cockpit.
Yeah, that's fine. After a few minutes, you scoop Kyber up and drop him off back at the cockpit.
Can't we just claim that the beetles killed her and be done with it?
Well, it's not like it looks like Irene at all anymore.
No. But what if her father knew about her?
What, you're saying that her father was a lizard as well?
They're not lizards. It's more complicated than that. But
reptiloids?
I can't remember the name. It's something. There's a few species, but they can be different organics. Sometimes human, sometimes more reptilian, sometimes even Rhodian, I hear. But it's possible, and they're quite rare. I just don't want to get tracked down by him and be.
Well, what we can do is gather up the beetles and get rid of them, and maybe put whatever this is, hoping it's not Irene, gather this thing up and put it in a cargo box. Maybe, I think I saw some cryo canisters back there, rather old, but should work. I could just freeze it, and I drop the body off, I guess, at her father's place, maybe?
As you're having this discussion, the comm link chimes and you hear Briamar say, "We should be approaching Ookbat 1 in the next couple of hours."
Good. I need to stretch my legs. Are there any clothes left on the body, John?
Yeah, the reptilian humanoid is still wearing the same clothes that Irene was wearing, a sort of suede effect suit, effectively.
Yeah, we're going to take his clothes off. Get rid of any identification or anything like that. Possibly even take it for ourselves. That could be useful later.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Make a note that you've got Irene Lacar's ID, effectively.
Yeah, so, well, if you're okay with me rigging up some sort of a freezer from one of the cargo crates that we have, I'm gonna stash the body there.
Okay, I'm leaving it to you. I'm gonna need to be landing this ship anyway very soon.
Okay, so are you gonna stash it in the same cargo hold as you've got Vinny, or?
Yeah, I think so. On the other side of the ship.
Okay. I'm assuming you scrape the beetles into the freezer as well, or are you just dumping those?
I think given our schedule, I'm just gonna put them all in the icebox, because, well, the idea was get rid of the beetles, but we're landing soon, so everything goes there. And I look very unhappy with having to do this.
Yeah, quite rightly so as well, but you do manage to sort of cram whatever this reptilian creature was and the 4 beetles into this makeshift freezer that you've constructed.
And I busy myself with that, I think, until we land the ship.
I know I owe you many drinks for this, and I will. Many drinks.
Okay, so a couple of hours later, Crood is back in the cockpit. Your Yaatu is still knocking around the far cargo bay, Area 16 on the map, when you spot on your sensors Ookbat 1 approaching. You're near the centre of the system now. Just past Ookbat 1, you can see the large red sun over the system.
Right, lady and gents, or gent, it's just one of you, isn't it now? Strap your seatbelts in.
As you're saying this, Briamar says, I presume you've got breathing masks on board. The atmosphere of Ookbat 1 on the surface, it isn't good for the long-term health.
Oh, Good to know. I'm assuming that we have some breathing masks on.
I generated some last time.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah,
I couldn't now, so really happy that we did that last time.
Yeah, my God.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Bree carries on saying, once we get into the cave systems below the surface, we'll be absolutely fine. The atmosphere's far better in there. It's the ionization caused by the electrical and magnetic storms on the surface that makes it difficult. A short-term exposure wouldn't do you any harm, but I wouldn't like to be breathing it on the long term.
Okay. We should be fine, at least for a bit. We're really just getting rid of these guns.
Indeed. Do you want me to try and contact my people on the surface?
Yeah, that'd be good.
She pulls out one of the headsets, gets on it. You see her sort of altering the frequency of the transmission. Then she says, this is Scarlet Leader. Repeat, this is Scarlet Leader. Come in command. Come in command. And then she reels off a long list of numbers and says, yes, it's me. I was shot down over Ookbat I, rescued by some people. The wee Quay fighters shot me down. I tried to give the rest of the ships as much time to get away as I could, but eventually I was forced to eject. My ship was shot. There was no way I would make it back. Luckily, a couple of people saw my escape pod and have picked me up on their freighter, but they did sustain some damage in the process. I told them that we might be able to help them effect repairs in thanks for them bringing me back here. Yes, of course. I understand. I'll ask them. And she turns back towards you, Crood, and says, my people are willing to repair your ship. However, they're a little wary of people who aren't in the Alliance knowing the location of our base. They've asked you to turn the piloting of your ship over to myself. Obviously, I can wipe your navigational records afterwards. I can bring you in and you'll be allowed to leave quite safely, but you won't know the location. Is that okay?
I'm a bit disappointed. I thought you were going to blindfold me, but oh well. And I give her another wink and I say, okay, sure, it's all yours.
She laughs and smiles and says, well, I was just going to suggest that yourself and your companion just head back to your quarters, but if it'll make you feel better.
Maybe let's just keep it simple for now, eh?
Okay, well, if you and Yaatu want to head back to your quarters, I'll bring the Night Dragon in and then I'll let you know once we've landed.
Okay, no problem. I'll have some more food or something.
Okay, so the two of you head back to the crew compartment. After about another 20 minutes, you feel a change in the vibration running through the ship, and you realise that you must have entered the atmosphere of a planet. About 15 minutes later, you hear the of the landing gear going down, and another 20 minutes later, you feel the ship come to a stop, having landed. There's a chime of the comm system, and you hear Bree on the comm system saying, right, that's it, I've brought her down, you should be fine to come out now.
Fantastic.
Okay, so we probably converge at the ramp and
Indeed.
head down. Bringing our masks, obviously.
Okay, so you all meet up at the ramp. Bree opens the door and you can see that you're inside what appears to be a huge cavern. The top of the cavern is open to the sky, although the actual hole in the ceiling isn't much larger than the Night Dragon. It must have taken some quite delicate flying and manoeuvring to get the Night Dragon down into this cave.
I'm just sort of nodding.
Whoa.
I'm quite impressed.
Bree smiles and says, well, I've radioed ahead, and as she opens the door you can see there's a number of figures wearing orange jumpsuits carrying sort of toolkits and technical equipment sort of coming out from further into the cavern. She smiles at them and says, if you can start work on the ship as soon as possible, it'd be appreciated. One of them nods and says, understood. And they immediately start going to work repairing the ship.
These tunnels haven't been made by like a very large worm creature, have they?
She laughs and says, I don't think so. No, I think they were created as a result of tectonic movement on the planet many, many years ago. The whole crust of this planet is riddled with these large caverns and these huge tunnel systems. Most of the people who live here reside in the caverns, since due to the magnetic storms it's not really safe on the surface. Although some of the natives, they do like to have their races up on the surface, but
sounds cool. Okay, so is there a place where we can rest and talk business?
Of course, please, if you'll follow me. And she leads you off the ship and leads you through this sort of bewildering maze of tunnels until eventually you break into what appears to be another cavern system. There's a slight luminescence being cast by these sort of crystalline growths in the walls and ceiling and floors of this cavern system. You can see there's various people wearing similar clothing to Briamar, so moving around. So there's a lot of packing crates littered about. There's people sat on them smoking death sticks, drinking out of cantinas. A couple of them nod at Briamar as she walks past.
So you got this whole operation very well coordinated with the colors and everything. What did you say you were?
I'm a member of the Alliance to Restore the Republic.
So what is it that you do?
It's our goal to see the rightful Republic restored and the Empire overthrown.
That's quite ambitious.
Well, someone's got to do it.
I don't really remember much about when the Empire weren't around. I mean, what was it like? Were you there?
No, it was all before my time, but the Empire is slowly squeezing the life out of this sector and, well, every other sector. And the way I look at it, if we can get rid of the Empire, whatever we put in afterwards has got to be better than this.
Well, yeah, I guess. They don't have a sense of humour, these Imperial forces.
Indeed. But you said you wanted to talk business?
Yes. I presume there is a person here who is...
Yes, of course. I'll introduce you. And this is where we are going to have our tide change for this evening. So, for those of you who may be watching who aren't aware, this is where I ask each of our two players to suggest a plot twist. I then post them as a poll in the Tides of Change Facebook group. There'll be a link in the video description to that. The people in the group can then vote on which of the choices they prefer, and the one that gets the most votes is the one we fold into the game when we come back after a sort of 10 or 15 minute break. So I'm going to ask you guys to suggest, who does Briamar introduce you to?
Yeah, I think, well, my suggestion could be, let me roll up a name, just a minute.
You know who it could be, John? It could be that diplomat I stole money from his bank account.
If that's what you want to suggest as your tide change, that's absolutely fine by me.
Why not?
Okay, I think my suggestion is... I think it's going to be the leader, or at least one of the leaders of the resistance in this sector, who is, I suppose, something of a hardcore guerrilla commando type guy. Cool. Named, let's see, Adarian Dane. Could be his or her name, with the understanding that it's sort of the rougher type. It's not really like Mon Mothma and the generals around the table just chatting it out. It's more like the, I guess, like Che Guevara type deal.
Okay, are you thinking human or?
Actually, well, yeah, I guess the name doesn't really fit if it's not especially human, but we could go with like Selkath, fish guy. Yeah, it's a hard tide change, guys, because you can't just go a giant monster appears.
Nope, or a Sith Lord.
Okay, guys, so we'll take a 10-minute break. I'll get this posted, and then when we come back, we'll press on with the game.
Righto.
Coolio.
Okay, so you've been led into this series of cavern networks by Briamar. She disappears off, saying that she's going to introduce you to her superiors. A short time later, she comes back leading two figures. One of them is this strange, mottled, grey-skinned, slightly clammy looking, almost fish-like individual. You can see he's wearing combat fatigues. He has a blaster at his hip, and he appears to be having some sort of argument with the second figure. The second figure, Crood, you recognise. It's a very dapperly dressed Syrian gentleman. He has the typically large sort of domed head of a Syrian, and you recognise him as Del Karot. So, having seen Del Karot emerging as part of this rebellion, what's going through Crood's mind at this point in time?
No, I was saying many exclamations, mostly negative, are going around in his head.
Okay, now obviously in your obligation, there was mention of a blackmail attempt, a leaked note of a theft of money from Del Karot. Would you care to fill in a little bit more detail on that?
Yeah, I decided when I wrote the background to amend it slightly. But essentially what it was, I needed to bail my family out of potential prison sentence because I had gone and defaced a few stormtroopers' armor, helmets, a ship even as well with some friends, and they got a warrant. So I thought, okay, I will bail them out, and I was like really impulsive, and I decided to, since I didn't have money on me, I decided to try and hack into a rich person's bank account that just so happened to be on Rhodia at the time, and that was him.
And were you ever caught for what you did?
No, but I obviously left some traces behind quite clumsily.
Okay, so as these two figures are walking towards you, you can hear this strange sort of mottled grey fish-like being saying, "Look, the Empire doesn't suspect. If we can find an off-world site to manufacture it, it'll be absolutely fine, Karot. the Syrian says, well, it's all very well and good to say that, Dane, but there's a reason the Empire is not interested in colto. It's nowhere near as efficient as the Bacta the Imperial forces are using, and it's very difficult to manufacture. Now, you listen to me, Karot. I'm telling you that if we can get it manufactured, we can get the formula locked down. It'll give us an edge that the Empire isn't expecting. And then this Adarian Dane, this sort of mottled grey fish figure, looks up, sees the two of you. He smiles, walks forward, his blaster swinging on his hip, and he says, "Good to meet you, Adarian Dane, Rebel Commander."
Okay, and I puff my chest, trying to look as cool as I can and as tough as I can. And yeah, I extend my hand and say, "Oh yes, I'm Yaatu Deng, and this is my crewmate, Crood."
Captain Crood, and I stick my hand out really awkwardly at arm's length for a handshake.
He takes your hand in like a sort of clammy hand of his own, shakes it, and then he says, "Yaatu Deng. Why does that name ring a bell?" Then he turns around to one of the sort of jumpsuited individuals who sat on one of the crates nearby, and he says, "Johnson, go and get me that data pad I was looking at earlier." At which point the figure who sat on the crate, like chuffing away on a desk stick, jumps up and says, "Oh, well, yes, sir, of course," and he runs off. He comes back a few moments later carrying a data slate, a data pad, effectively, and passes it over to Adarian Dane, this Salkath fish person. He fiddles around with it for a few moments and then says, "Ah, yes, sir. There we are." And he hands this data pad back to yourselves. As you look at the datapad, you can see that it has a flickering blue image of Tomax Cavell on it, and it says System Bounties Daily HoloNet Update. Bounty offered 1,388 credits for the apprehending and return of the wanted Imperial criminal Tomax Cavell. List of crimes: abduction of an Imperial citizen, theft of Imperial property. Known associates: Crood Bosmore, Yaatu Deng. For further information, please contact Grandmaster Nicholas Lacar at the Imperial Training Academy on Blymph 1.
Okay. I look very proud of myself, and my face is just beaming. And I say to our host, "Ah, yes. The Imperials have, well, to be honest, it was only a time before they decided that we were worthy of a bounty." And I say that as if it's a good thing.
Del Karot, the Syrian wearing the fancy clothes, says, "I'm not entirely sure, Dane, that having wanted Imperial fugitives here is the best course of action. They may bring additional unwanted attention down on us." Dane says, "Nonsense, nonsense. Anyone who sticks it to the Empire is all right by me." And he shakes you by the hand, Yaatu, in this clammy, fish-like hand.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I'm shaking vigorously. And yeah, I've made it now.
"So, tell me," says Dane, "have you thought about signing on? I hear you did a damn fine job rescuing Scarlet Leader there," he says, nodding his head towards Briamar.
Well, we're not really the fighting type, if you know what I mean.
Well, there's more to waging war against an enemy than simply fighting them. We need requisitions, supplies. There's all manner of different specialities in the Alliance to restore the Republic. We could use a few good soldiers like yourself.
I look to Crood to see what he's thinking.
I'm not a soldier, but I do fly pretty well.
Dane starts to speak again. You see Del Carrot, the Syrian, stood behind him with a sort of slightly patronising smile on his face, as though he sort of like heard this speech a million times before. And then Carrot steps forward and says, "You must forgive Commander Dane. He gets very enthusiastic about our conflict with the Empire." And then you see Dane starts to snap out a retort, but Carrot just holds his hand up to silence him. However, he is right about one thing. We don't just need frontline infantry and soldiers within the rebellion. The rebel fleet doesn't simply run itself. We require supplies, fuel, medicine, vehicles, expertise, mechanics. There's a lot more to the rebellion than simply fighting stormtroopers.
Oh yeah, we fought some stormtroopers when we got the bounty, so I guess we have that in hand. And I say that as if it's a good thing and makes me very tough.
Dane slaps you on the back with one of his sort of fishy appendages and says, "There you go, see, they're practically rebellion already, fighting against stormtroopers." Dane turns to you, Yaatu, and says, "Now the thing is, you see, if you're out there on your own, when the Empire eventually gets round to trying to collect on this debt," and he sort of waves the data pad in your face, "and believe me, they will, well, if you don't have any backup, it's going to be easy enough for them to simply wait for you to make a mistake and pick you off. Whereas here with the Alliance to restore the Republic, we've all got each other's backs, we've got a support network, helps us stay below the Empire's radar, and when and where we can, we cause trouble for them."
I like.
What do you say, Crood? We're not frontline as he said, but
No, we're not. I'm much more comfortable up in the air. But stormtroopers on the ground shooting from the air, it's like fish in a barrel. No, I didn't mean anything by that.
You don't. No.
No offence taken.
Okay.
You can see there's like sweat coming down.
Yeah, I think
from that.
we both just like insta sweat. So Crood, I think, and I sort of lean in to Crood just to sort of like whisper. So Crood, I think there's a chance to make a lot of business with these people. We could probably sell them anything.
Yeah, certainly in terms of if they need us to do little excursions to collect things or to acquire things, I'm sure we could do that. You're good at sneaking, I'm good at flying. We can do it.
Yeah,
pay us.
And if push comes to shove, we can just, I don't know, repair some ships here in the tunnels. Should be safe.
Yeah, possibly, but I want to be in them, not just fixing them.
And I turn to Commander Dane, and I extend my hand again and say, "Well, Commander, we are ready to do business with you and to restore the Republic. Of course, our capabilities are very limited when it comes to combat, but other dangerous things we are expert at."
Well, that's absolutely fine. Now, we do need independent operators as well as those who are official members of the rebellion. How much were you thinking of signing on? I apologise for the bluntness, but I have little time for fancy talk or bandying words. I like to lay all my cards on the table, so to speak.
And I look to Yaatu.
Sorry, is this Are we talking a contract or?
What I'm asking is, are you in, or are you simply doing a business deal?
Well, I guess we're in.
Del Carrot sighs a little and then says, again, you must forgive Commander Dane. What he's trying to ask is if you wish to officially join the Alliance to restore the Republic, or whether you're simply hoping to interact with us as an independent contractor.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense. Oh, I don't know.
I mean, it depends on if it affects the rates of the business that we're doing.
Well, if you were officially part of the Alliance to restore the Republic, says Carrot, then you would not be receiving payment in terms of credits. However, you would be part of the military supply chain, so your supply needs would be met depending on your usefulness by the rebellion. If you're an independent contractor, then you'll be getting paid on a job-by-job basis, but you won't have as great an access to the resources of the Alliance.
I whispered to Yaatu, this whole independent thing sounds a lot more appealing. I don't want to be tied up completely in the Alliance. What if the Hutts want us to do something, or what if we get tangled up in the Empire?
What do you mean, if we already are? Very badly.
Yeah, okay, when then? When?
Yeah. And I turn back to the commander again after our little huddle with Crood. Well, friends, how about we begin our relationship on a strictly business level, and we'll see where it goes. And to sweeten the deal, I am happy to tell you that we have a cargo hold full of untraceable blaster rifles ready to be deployed for any operations that you might desire to conduct, for the appropriate amount of credits, of course.
You see Dane's mouth sort of fall open when you just sort of like drop into the conversation. Like, oh yeah, by the way, they've got a cargo hold full of untraceable blasters. And you even notice that the normally composed Del Carrot sort of raises his eyebrows, and then he says, and how much were you hoping for these rifles in terms of payment?
Would John have some sort of an idea of the value of these guns? Like, because they're black market stuff, so I presume that there's it's not really like your average prices that we're talking about.
Okay, can you please make me a negotiation roll, whichever of you wishes to discuss the sale of these weapons? It's difficulty 2.
I would suggest you do this.
It's going to be a train wreck either way.
It's going to be with me as well.
Well,
That's happened twice.
yeah, and there's a result on every die, and still.
Okay, you think given the amount of cargo that you're carrying, for all of it, you're looking at about 115,000 credits.
Okay, so special price for you, 90,000 credits for the entire haul, and I rattle off the numbers that we have.
As you say that, Del Carrot says, that seems like a most reasonable price for the quantities that you're discussing. It will take me a couple of days to get the necessary cash together. Unfortunately, I've had a little difficulty with my cash flow recently, but I can get that amount of money together. Like I said, it'll just take me a couple of days, which it's going to take at least that long to repair your vessel. So I suggest you relax here, perhaps head up to the surface, maybe enjoy some of the surface pod or speeder bike racing, and then...
So, what? Did you say speeder bike racing?
Yes.
Okay, good, I'm there. Just let me know where it is.
Yes, of course, I'm sure Scarlet Leader, any gestures towards Briamar can give you all the necessary details. Is that fine with you, Mr. Deng? A couple of days for me to get the 90,000 credits together?
Of course. And you can have the merchandise immediately as a gesture of our goodwill.
That's very generous of you, thank you.
Also, would you happen to know if there is a tattoo artist on this planet?
Given that the natives, who I'd advise you largely stay clear of, they're somewhat hostile to outsiders. We think that they're the result of an attempted failed colonization of this planet, since they appear to be human for all intents and purposes, although their level of technology is lamentable. Given that they're largely tribal based, I suspect that there are many people who practice scarification and tattooing amongst them. However, whether you could convince one of them to ply their arts on yourself, I wouldn't like to say.
Okay, we'll give it a go then. Okay, and I presume that we exchange some sort of contact details.
Indeed, it gives you like his unique like comm signal, and then he says, "But if your friend is going to the swoop bike racing, then you'll no doubt run into a number of the natives there. It seems to be one of the few areas of technology that they've taken quite a shine to. Although, given that the races take place on the surface, they are extremely dangerous due to the frequent magnetic and electrical storms. But I know they tend to bet quite heavily on the swoop bike races. Perhaps you could convince one of them to apply whatever tattoos you wish to yourself. I'm afraid I'm no great expert in that sort of thing."
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe while Crood is racing, I can investigate this. But thank you very, very much for taking us in. We hope that this is going to be a long and profitable relationship.
Not at all. It's the least we can do. Scarlet Leader is one of our finest up-and-coming pilots. It saddened me greatly to think when I thought that we'd lost her. So whatever I can do to help out in my small way as a thanks for you rescuing her and returning her to us is absolutely fine by me. And like you say, hopefully it'll be the start of a profitable business relationship.
Also, and for what it's worth, the Empire.
As you say that, Commander Dane's like, yeah!
Yeah, the Empire, yeah.
At which point, Briamar heads over to you, Crood, and says, do you want me to take you to the swoop bike races?
Of course I bloody do! Oh, I've always wanted to see one. They never have anything like that on Rhodia because of the impracticalities and too many trees everywhere and bubble habitats. Yeah. Where is it? Let's go get some drinks.
She laughs, says, it's up on the surface. It's quite. We'll have to get a transportation to get there. It's quite some distance, but
oh yeah, that's fine. I'll take one myself if you like.
Well, I was thinking more we get a hover truck or something similar. We need something that's shielded against the atmospheric storms. But I'm quite happy to take yourself or both of you if you wish. I sometimes go and watch them myself. You'll need to make sure you've got your breathers on, though. Like I said, the atmosphere up there's not terribly good.
Yeah, sure. Come on, Yaatu, it'll be fun.
Yep. With you.
Anyway, plenty of potential contacts there as well, you know.
Although I'm afraid, since we are going to be leaving our base in the hover truck, and she pauses and smiles at you, Crood, I'm afraid this time I really will have to blindfold you.
Oh dear, okay, well I better comply.
And as you say that, and you all climb into the hover car, that is where we are going to draw an end to this evening's session.
Oh yeah.
And we will pick up next time with you guys at the swoop bike races. Thank you very much for playing, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the session.
Yes!
Yeah, that was fun.
Excellent. So I'm quite happy to chat for a bit afterwards, but I'm going to end the broadcast now.